1 2 1 2. What's going on? This is Ed Marcus with the CK Dowling, DOWLING on all your social media. You are tuned in right now to the DCTBD podcast. Ian Taranji, our typical host, is out on assignment, I would say. At home,
on assignment
at
home.
Taking care of his wife, doing what he needs to do. And it's left up to myself and the ever talented, courageous, and beautiful Michelle Bush.
Oh, my God. You can have anything in life, darling. Anything in life.
You're a dear.
Anything in life.
And this week, we're going to be doing a DCTBD that I like to say are things that you shouldn't talk about at Thanksgiving dinner.
What? Wait a minute.
So we have...
Don't talk about the chitlins.
A little bit of racism.
Who cleaned the collard greens?
Right, a little bit of collusion.
Oh, always collusion,
and
collusion,
a lot
collusion.
of religion.
Well, since we want to talk about religion, forgive me for the way that I look this evening. Although everybody does say, Michelle, you're looking beautiful as always. My hair would have been done if I had been interrupted in church yesterday.
Right. Let's start with this one because it's actually entertaining.
This is very entertaining. And so I'm sitting at church, and a lot of people know where I go to church, right in the Shaw area. Shout out to Shaw and all the changes that are happening that I hope that people are just trying to get used to. We're sitting there, we're going through service. It's a great message, and we're getting ready for communion.
Right.
And so everybody is centered, and all the deacons are lined up, and it's a big Black Baptist church on the corner of 9th and P Street.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden you hear, "Oh my God!" And we look to the left, and there is this white man, butterball naked, walking down the aisle. And
this is also what happens when gentrification comes to Shaw.
And it's just like he walked in so gingerly. So, of course, action is taken, and, we get him out. Unfortunately, he came back in, and so, we had to shield him and hold him, some other things.
The Holy Spirit is popular.
The Holy Spirit
is popular.
In gentrified Shaw is popular. And so, of course, there's some things that are going on, and everybody's like, well, K2, but the man was so calm. So, we have to be on alert.
I'm just thinking it's like LSD,
LSD, he was very calm, very non-combative, very naked.
He's very centered. I mean, that happens.
He was centered. I mean, he came in with his hands, in the praying position. And it's just like, you're totally scared because we think about Mother Emanuel Church. We think about any church that, from the sick church that, was attacked, just everything. Because we're not a small church. Right. We're a church that, has prominent people that have come there and that go there and everything. And here just comes
I'll put it like this.
The naked white man.
On one level, in the summer of 1968, there was massive strife and horrible, urban blight. On one level, in the summer of 1968, there were naked people walking about the streets of San Francisco, California.
Yeah.
So now you get a nice little switch of that
here
in Washington, D.C.
In
2018.
But here's the crazy thing. I'm trying to understand that on the corner of 9th and P Street Northwest, we're not talking about a street corner that is very closed, private, and not busy. We're up the street from the convention center.
This is okay. So there's something about this. You go.
I'm trying to figure out. Nobody decided to call 911 because there was a naked white man walking up and down the street.
There's a thing about gentrification and the gentrifiers who come to D.C. There's a level of self-interest.
They mind their business.
And self-interest and self-appreciation.
Oh, God.
To the point where if it's not happening in your phone, or if it's not happening at brunch, or if it's not happening while you're in line at the Compass Coffee.
But I love Compass Coffee.
Compass Coffee is wonderful.
Although I'm drinking something else this evening.
Yeah, so Starbucks white chocolate mocha.
Oh, yeah.
White chocolate mocha.
White chocolate mocha.
There she is. But
Hot rum buns here.
Hot rum buns.
Live on DCTBD.
All right, so let's get into the conversation this week. Let's talk about racism.
Oh, wow.
Let's
racism.
Talk about,
what?
Yeah, okay. So there's
that thing is still going on?
Yeah. So there's a Nazi parade that's coming to Washington, D.C.
Well, they will not be ordering chicken wings fried hard with mumbo sauce, salt, pepper, and ketchup.
I mean, salt, pepper, and ketchup are delicious on French fries. And mumbo sauce is delicious as well.
So T-shirt coming to you soon.
There it is. Let's talk about the Trump family's thoughts on LeBron James.
Yeah.
Randy Moss being. Let's talk about the NFL. We might save the NFL Hall of Fame for later. So let's save that.
We may have to, because we have to talk Randy. We have to talk his tie, and then we have to go. We're going to be talking about a lot of coons tonight.
Yeah. So let's start with that. Let's talk about the Nazi parade. Your thoughts about this?
This is kind of one of the hardest thing about being here in D.C. and being, as we say, all three of us are native Washingtonians.
Right.
We personally, within ourselves, don't like the fact that this group of individuals has come to the city and applied for a license to march, to protest, to do what they're going to do because of what has happened in every single, year. There's always something, but specifically since what happened in Charlottesville.
Right.
And so we don't like that. But we also have to look at the fact that there are amendments.
Right.
There's freedom of speech.
Oh, gosh.
And so this is where we're teetering the line on what should be allowed to be approved, what shouldn't allow to be approved. Did they follow the rules of getting a license to...
Yeah, they got it approved.
They got it approved.
Okay, so there's a Unify the Right protest that's happening in Washington, D.C. on the Mall this weekend.
And Metro said no, but I think the ACLU pulled their coattail on that one.
Okay, so Metro initially said that they were going to create a separate line of trains.
Thinking about creating.
Right, for the protesters. And that is not going to happen. So you're going to have, in the midst of Metro, you're going to have radical alt-right, protesters mingling about with general,
it's just
quasi-liberal to extremely liberal populations.
And they can get on the Green Line train and go to Congress Heights if they want to.
Right. I mean, this is true.
Yeah.
But I think that the main issue here is you want to see the change from last year to this year. Okay. So in my mind, the Unify the Right, the alt-right protesters are now an established movement. The unfortunate thing that came from the protests last year in Charlottesville, and the unfortunate, tragedies that befell numerous people.
Yeah, the woman that died between the stabbings.
Right, the guy that was hit by a car, knocked into the air.
Yeah.
That actually, for that population, created a level of interest and intrigue in what they're doing, and now they are actually a movement.
They are a movement.
So you have to look at...
Because the KKK is putting out signs with free candy.
Free candy in New York City, right.
But the alt-right...
Yeah, they're having actual protests. And they're gathering steam. So the thing is, you want to see if we're going to do this. Because these are the wages of electing Donald Trump as president, given his platform that he ran on. Of near to racism, not quite racism.
If you didn't believe
that
this man was
pushing you to the edge of, but not telling you that he is a racist,
bigot,
exactly. So classist, across the board,
sexist,
all
of them.
So the next step is to just assume those positions.
Yeah.
So if you do that, then you have to presume that these marches are going to occur in the same way if Hillary Clinton won, and the leftist women's movement would be the alt-right. There would be pink pussy hats on the subway every week of the year.
And notice how they faded away. I'm sorry.
Right. Well, that's a different story for a different time. But back to this conversation.
Yes.
So the ultimate issue here is you want to see if there is a level of decorum from the alt-right. Because this is an opportunity.
I would love
if you peaceably assemble and you're saying awful things, you have signs that say awful things.
You, my friend, are a...
Right. But if you gosh, that was a little hot there. But if you peaceably assemble, if you do so in a way that does not infringe upon people's physical freedoms.
And please believe that they're having a conference call right now.
Right.
Every section, how many people are coming, all of your groups. They had a national conference call.
Right, I'm sure. But the thing is that you can't do what they did in Charlottesville, which was...
And that is exactly what they are saying probably on these calls, and letters have gone out and emails. Y'all can't act a fool when you get to DC.
But here's my thing with the liberal left, and this march is huge for the future of the country. Thinking about the next 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 years.
Yeah.
You have to have the liberal left not trigger or antagonize the alt-right. You have to allow these people to peaceably protest because
it causes big problems
if you do that, then quite logically on the flip side, when it's time for the liberal left to organize peaceably and have, protests for, women's rights, for African American rights, for Latino rights, for rights of families, especially immigrant families, then you get, equal quid pro quo, treatment. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
And that's a real major issue, because if you don't get that equal treatment, then you don't start the gradual sinkhole, as I like to call it now. It's a sinkhole.
It's a sinkhole.
It's a sinkhole towards the middle.
The swamp is sinking.
Right, but that's where people are going to end up. You're going to end up at the bottom of the swamp. When we
Are you sure we're not already there?
No, we're not. Now,
Okay.
Right, we're currently both on top of giant mountains. The left's over here, the right's over here.
We are?
Yes.
Okay.
And there are various ones of us who are at the bottom climbing up said mountain, but there's a bunch of old white ladies.
Oh,
And,
yeah. The Trump ladies.
Right. No, but even up on top of the liberal mountain, there's a bunch of old white ladies. And their young black friends who are all having a nice picnic on top of the mountain.
Let me ask my black friends.
Right, we'll
Okay.
get there. But the thought is, no matter what happens this weekend,
Yeah.
everybody has to, I feel like, look at each other. Seriously, this is the moment, because I always say there was going to come a moment. I said this. I wrote an article maybe 5 years ago.
Marcus writes articles.
Yeah, I was the editor-in-chief at Brooklyn Bodega at that
Yes.
point. They do the Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival,
Yes.
and they let me write about politics, which was great.
I mean,
Made me happy.
that was smart.
Right. So I said there was going to come a point where there was going to be raised earth,
Okay.
and everything was going to be flat,
Oh.
and all of the people
The earth is flat.
would be able to stare at each other. You're not going to have a bunch of anger and enmity and aggression and subterfuge and fright and fear and all these things that cloud your judgment or cloud your ability to see somebody clearly across the aisle. There was going to come a point where all that was going to be burned to the ground. I did not know that was going to be Donald Trump being elected president that would cause that.
Look at you looking into the future.
Right, but that's what I do.
I hope you can write something about 2020.
Oh, I'm already on it. But so you have this thing where the earth is flat and earth is scorched,
Yeah.
and everybody can stare at each other
Yeah.
through all the rubble. We're all looking at each other.
Yeah.
And this is one of these moments where you hope that people are not driven to aggression, but rather they are driven to the point of stopping to look at that other person across the aisle in the eye and understand, okay, it's you and us. It's you and I. It's the two of us. It's our two sides.
That's it. What are you going to do?
And what do we do? Because we can't fight. Because if we fight, then the guy at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're protesting in front of him right now.
Right.
Rosie O'Donnell's down there.
Yeah, the guy at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue largely doesn't care about either party. So he's perfectly happy to just watch everybody fight. So that's something to think about.
Geronimo, hey.
Yeah, so let's move on into another conversation here.
As I check my phone to see what the comments is
Yeah,
and
no
see
sweat.
who's watching. Hey, Molly girl.
Yes. So let's talk about the Trump family and LeBron James.
Oh goodness.
Okay, so LeBron has the I Promise School in Akron, Ohio.
Amazing.
Which,
Let me say,
yeah.
It is amazing. But shout out to Jalen Rose and to everybody else from the NBA that has started, participated, gone back to.
I feel like Jalen actually is the
he's the first.
The originator, the person who gave LeBron the idea of starting, because he has the I think it's the Progress Youth Academy in Detroit.
Yep.
So as somebody who has toured the Midwest extensively, when I was the EIC here. I took a year and I toured the Midwest, and that's what I did. I wanted to see what was actually going on in another part of the country that I felt was analogous in a lot of ways to DC.
Yeah.
So Akron is not like extraordinarily blighted,
No.
but they have a history of like solid blue collar like employment.
Yeah.
And there's a need.
Dad got up to go to work.
Right.
Mom was home.
Yeah.
Maybe did a little bit here.
Right.
Kids went to school. Somebody played sports. Somebody maybe a musician.
Right. There's a need in Akron, I feel, or cities like Akron, for schools to exist that inspire people. So the largest part about the I Promise Academy, the school that LeBron has started, is that it creates a sense of empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And not so much this sense of like entitlement that a lot of schools create. So I think that's
all I could.
Right. So
I
that's
could
important
because that is so important.
Right. And Donald Trump tweeted that when he saw the interview on CNN, this means that Donald Trump is now watching CNN alongside Fox.
Because Fox is not his friend anymore.
Right. He's watching CNN now all the time. So he watched CNN and he said that Don Lemon.
Oh, the dumb reporter.
Yeah, he's a dumb reporter, but even he did a good job of making LeBron seem smart.
Yeah.
And then he's followed that up with, I like Mike.
Yeah.
So the key to this whole statement, ultimately, regarding the nature of sports and race relations in America, is that Michael Jordan may be one of the few athletes that historically has not been known as any sort of civil rights activist.
I mean, the man has stock in CCA. Or did you sell that off, Mike?
Right. So
those that don't know what CCA is, Google it.
Right. So the thing with Mike, there's a statement he once made. He said, "White people buy Jordans too."
Oh, I don't know why y'all like that man so much.
So when Donald Trump says, "I like Mike," it's another case of Donald Trump, master troll, trolling the entire population.
The smartest dummy that Putin could find.
Right. He's literally saying, "Hey, I like Mike." Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And it worked. It worked perfectly.
And who are the kids that just got suspended for selling Jordans?
Right. The most of the North Carolina Tar Heels.
The Tar Heels.
Right. So
I want to know how many of them were
right,
white.
which is even crazier because Michael Jordan's a UNC alum.
Right.
Which there's so many unanswered questions there.
Yeah.
But in any event,
we'll talk about that next Monday on DC TBD.
Right. Melania,
yay,
Donald Trump's wife.
Hey, girl.
She said,
I think they are truly divorced.
I mean, I don't think you even think it's that. I think it's a far bigger.
They're living the George Bush, Laura Bush life, though.
No, I don't even think it's that.
She's in a separate room.
I feel like she's playing a role.
She's playing something. She's playing the fence.
Right.
Real 50.
So she said that she respected LeBron and that she wanted to visit the I Promise Academy.
I like LeBron.
Right.
Donald, I go to see LeBron.
You don't have to go.
You don't have to go.
I go.
You stupid man.
So we're in this place where, again, the Trumps have effectively divided social media. So
did we ever think in 1982 that we would be talking about Donald Trump as our president?
No, not really. I mean, Donald Trump, I'm sure did.
I mean, I don't know what you were doing in 1982. Right, I was watching the Smurfs. And
I was too. Yeah. I had a crush on Smurfette in real life. I did. Admittedly. So in any event,
Papa Smurf was kind of fly.
I mean, you know, he's a great socialist, that one, because he's got the big red hat.
I like him a little older.
Damn. I shouldn't have shaved or something. All this white hair. It's glorious.
As I turn away from the camera.
But in any event, so I feel like we're in this position where Trump has again turned to social media to dilute the impact of success that he cannot control. There's a real statement in this where if something happens in America right now that is going to take the spotlight away from the Trump administration, and understand that social media is how this man was elected president. Like that's
Pretty
it.
Much.
Like he was able to galvanize Twitter to the point where Twitter is a shambles now.
Well, I mean, let's be very clear. The person that put him in the place that he's in was able to take control
of Facebook
and Twitter.
Right.
What was it? That Twitter had to delete 25 million accounts.
Yeah, accounts, right. Yeah. So ultimately, when Trump can say X and his wife can say Y, And he's aware. Like the thing about the other
That's
thing about
algebra.
Trump is I feel like people don't understand that he's perfectly aware of everything that's being said about him at all times.
Right.
He's not unaware. He's not like an unaware actor in this whole situation. He's like not paying attention to social media or not paying attention to the New York Times op-ed page or not reading the Washington Post op-ed page or at least having someone read them. LA Times, you know.
As he's on the commode in the morning.
Yeah.
Come in here, intern.
Right. Well, what are they saying about me?
Read to me.
And he's like, oh, they think that my wife is a call girl and that I'm paying her to be my wife. And ha ha ha. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So he's aware. And that's the thing. He's an aware actor in all of this. So given that he's so aware, he's like, well, if Melania believes differently, he's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
With Melania stating a different opinion.
I'm not going to take away the tomatoes off her sandwich because she said that.
Right. Because that's twice as many eyes on one issue.
Got it.
That dilutes LeBron's impact.
Yeah.
The impact of one of the 3 or 4 greatest athletes across any athletic endeavor.
Now,
in the history of sport.
I think he's a sucky player. I think he has temper tantrums on the court, but he is great at what he does in the community with his family. And I've said that on here before. Him on the court is just a total, that's something different.
I'm going to give you a fact about this whole thing that'll blow your mind.
We like facts.
So, Freedom Youth Academy cost LeBron $8 million.
Yeah.
To create.
To create.
In the next year, this will show you the level of money that he's playing with right now.
Am I about to sing the OJs?
Yeah, you're gonna.
I go back to choir rehearsal.
So
this week.
Between Nike, right? He signed a new deal with Nike 2 years ago, and he just signed a deal with the Lakers. This year, before taxes and before actually having to look at any other things that he has to spend money on, he's making a combined total of $66 million.
Money, 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 money.
Money. But yeah, so that's a fact that people don't understand about LeBron James.
God.
And then on top of that,
we scare away our people.
right, and then on top of that, he's also invested in Liverpool,
Yes.
Premier League franchise.
Yep.
And he also has numerous endorsement, ventures. So the $8 million, any other human being that spends $8 million on a school would be like, that's a lot of money I've just spent on a school.
I wonder how much Dick Cheney used to help build KIP. Oh, y'all didn't know that?
Right.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so it's crazy. That's just gives you a sense of where LeBron is at as a businessman right now. He made basically what is a tax write-off
exactly
of $8 million.
Yeah.
Which is 1/8 of the amount of money that he makes in a year.
I can't even count that many zeros.
Right. It's insane. So that's something I wanted to make sure people understood in regards to that issue, in regards to racism, and in regards to how Trump is using social media.
Yep.
Is that anytime the full scope of public intrigue and pop culture is not firmly planted on Donald Trump, he will happily
send you your 5 o'clock a.m. tweet.
Yeah, he'll
that
happily
you then
split. But this is a smart one because now he has his wife involved.
Oh yeah, of course.
And they've split public opinion on two sides.
Put this coat on and go to that location.
Right.
And don't say anything about it.
Yeah.
Because it was like, is she for? Is she against?
Right.
Well, I'm gonna go visit over here. Now, LeBron, I like you. I'm gonna come visit the school.
Right. So let's continue on Trump and let's talk about collusion. Okay.
Because me reading the list of collusion is Donald Trump Jr., something that was tweeted out, TT, and yeah.
Okay, so I think we'll shorten it up a little bit because there's one key issue that I want to talk about, and it's again that thing where I say, if you're going to break the law, do so in public.
Hello.
In a way with full admission where you're able to just not be charged with anything.
And this is why when it is time to charge Donald Trump with all of the shit that he has done, he's going to get on the stand and tell it.
Right.
And it's going to be like, well, he told the truth.
Yeah.
He's always told the truth eventually. And now we can't charge him.
So we had a meeting during the presidential campaign in 2016.
Yes. Everything happened in 2016.
Right. In which Don Jr. was supposedly meeting with the Russians
He
to
is-
find out about, I
he's
guess,
a-
some
he-
kind of adoption
He's a test tube baby.
issue.
He's got to be.
Right. And Donald Trump tweeted that it was not about adoption.
No.
It was about getting illegal information on his
Hillary-
opponent,
Hillary
Clinton.
Yeah. Hillary Rodham.
Right. But
Crooked Hillary.
so, like, think about this for a second.
emails.
You literally said we had a meeting about adoption. This is on, like, okay, so this is we have dumbed this down to yet another level.
Putin got the smartest dummy that he could find.
Okay, so last week we were at like 12-year-old levels of like subterfuge.
Yes.
Where like when you're 12 and like you sneak out the window and you say, "Oh yeah, I dropped my He-Man figure out the window,
Right.
so I had to climb down and get it." And then my friends just happened to pull up in a car, so then I just went out with them.
Right. I accidentally left the rum raisin ice cream out.
Yeah, exactly.
And it melted. And some of it evaporated.
Right. So now we're at 8-year-old level. I had a meeting.
Last week, yes.
I had a meeting about adoption with the Russians.
The adoption of what? Oh, okay.
And then it's like, no, did I say adoption? No. I meant subterfuge to help me win the presidential election.
The smartest dummy Putin knew.
It's like,
I really don't think people are following this. Like, I know everybody gets caught up in The Root and Black NBC and, everything that we retweet on, on Facebook and social media and everything like that. And I just don't think that people are looking on the back end of all of this.
You have
at how the fact that, like we said, he's a child.
It's not that he's a child, because he's not a child. He's an Ivy League educated man. That's the
I'm sorry, where?
That's an Ivy League educated man.
Who?
He went to Penn. He has a degree.
Like I said, who?
I know, but he has a degree. That's the thing people don't get. He went to the Wharton School of Business.
I mean, he did.
He's not
He's
an
not dumb.
unintelligent man.
But he's the smartest dummy that Putin knows.
But no, the thing is that, okay, so we're at another point now with Donald Trump where we need to have another conversation about Trump.
Yeah.
There's being stupid, and that's understandable. If you lack intelligence,
Yes.
and if you lack nuance in your intelligence, you can be just flat out not smart.
Yes.
It's perfectly understandable. Like if I were to put an examination in front of you, you would likely fail. It's understandable. You would get a 57, you'd have an F. It's fine.
I mean, I at least got a 73 trying to
Right.
read Ian's notes.
But
Hey,
but instead, the thing with Trump is that he has a degree from Wharton School of Business. Now whether or not that
but
was
the thing is, has he? I mean, honestly, we've completed some level of education,
right, but
does this man even remember what he learned in school? Or,
I'm sure he
or
did.
Is this, or is this from what he learned from Trump University?
No, but I'm sure he does. But there's a moment where you stop and you say, where does it benefit me to tell you how smart I am?
Does it?
He gains nothing from admitting intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay, so like for 99% of the universe,
Mm-hmm.
so like you and I, right?
Oh,
When we walk into, well, you're an intelligent woman.
Thank
you.
you. I try.
Also beautiful and talented and gifted.
Show's over,
and-
y'all. Bye.
So in any event, so 99% of the universe, when we walk into a room
Mm-hmm.
with a bunch of people who want to understand our level of intellect,
How I walk in the room at CBC.
right? We show off how smart we are.
How the rest of y'all walk in the room.
Right,
at
like you
CBC.
walk in and you're like, boom, okay, you say something, you try to do something, you try
Yeah.
to give some semblance of awareness to the world that I'm a really smart person.
Or I just walk in the room.
Donald Trump sits down and stares at the person and says, how dumb do you need me to be?
Why does he really sit down at the table like this sometimes? Like,
Because he knows. He's aware.
he's a dunce.
He's like, all right, well, I mean, I could, like, roll out some kind of, like, hyper-economic theory from the 19th century that I remember from a course that I took in my second year at Wharton. Or I could
don't
just...
remember this shit.
Right, or I could just sit here and let people just look at me
And what does the media do? They take the picture of him wherever he is, and he's just sitting there like, dumb.
But he knows better, and that's the crazy part. That's the dangerous part about Trump.
When you know better, you do better?
Right, but he's doing the best for himself.
I mean, he did the best. He's the president of
He's the president of the United States.
Hello.
People have to understand that about Trump. Like, that's the thing. It's the opposite of what you'd expect. Because the average human being, when confronted with having to walk into a room and have a level of intellect, always chooses the path of looking like the smartest person in the room. There's less than 1% of the world walks in. This goes into our next topic, by the way. Walks into the room and says, "I'm the dumbest man here."
Oh, that sounds
like
crazy.
I'm an idiot. I am stupid. I am fallible. I am a moron. Whatever you want to say about me, say it.
That ain't Trump.
But that's what he does, though.
Yeah.
That's what he does. That's what he has been doing for the last 2 years.
So is it a game? I mean, is it a game to him? Or is this just who he is?
I feel like this is a game at this point because he knows he's winning.
Well, yes, he's the president.
It's not even that he's the president, but he's wearing down people's wills.
Yeah.
The will of the liberal front.
So it's going to be, you know what? We agree. Let's sign the treaty.
Right. So he's like, I'm wearing these people down. They're at a point now. Okay, so like there's a factoid from New Yorker from last week, where the percentage of lying that Donald Trump is going to do in the second term of that he's in office is going to go up 173% by the end of the year.
Subscribe to the New Yorker, folks.
He's going to tell.
It's not expensive.
He's going to tell almost 200% more lies.
Yeah.
Which works out to 16 lies a day.
Well,
16.
How many did he tell today?
I mean, like I'm certain 16, because that's the average. So I mean, I'm sorry. There's some days where it's 22.
I'm at 5.
Right.
Because I had to turn my phone off. I had to help the great people of Ward 8.
The Great Ward 8.
The Great Ward 8 and 6 and 7.
So let's continue this conversation about people who willfully tell lies in media.
Oh my God.
And let's talk about Alex Jones. InfoWars was a thing that still exists, but it does not exist on YouTube, on Facebook Live, on Google Play, on Stitcher Audio, on any number of broadcast mediums by which you can access digital media. He was totally blacked out from mainstream media today. This has never happened in the history of modern media. Has one man, Alex Jones, ever been blacklisted from broadcasting?
I said I wasn't even going to get in this topic.
It's astounding. And I say this only because, okay, so I'm an Alex Jones fan. I'll admit to it.
I am not.
I will tell you why I'm an Alex Jones fan. Because I'm a fan of Alex Jones because I'm a fan of professional wrestling.
I love wrestling too, but I don't like Alex Jones.
He's the worst, best bad guy that we've ever had.
God, I feel like I'm talking about Donald Trump again.
He makes Morton Downey Jr.
look like
Papa
Smurf.
Right, Papa Smurf. He makes Geraldo Rivera. He makes
Jenny
Jones.
Geraldo Fox 5. Geraldo, and then went national?
Yes, yes. I'm talking about that fly Puerto Rican brother in the suit.
What was the name of that show? Because it used to come on right
now
after.
Now it's, what is it?
Right after the 10 o'clock news.
Yeah. Oh God.
I don't remember.
No, I remember, but it was the one where he went down to Alcatraz, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so
it's when Lark McCarthy was still on.
Lark McCarthy.
Yeah.
Wow. So in any event, Alex Jones has been blacklisted from all media. This doesn't mean he cannot broadcast anymore.
And brought to us, I think, first by Vice News.
Right, of course. So we're at a place now where being a member of the alt-right, a leading proponent of the alt-right, will get you blacklisted.
So do you think he's going to be in D.C.?
Of course. It wouldn't surprise me. So at the same time...
Somebody send a message to Alex Jones to go to Decade.
At the same time, he's welcome to come in. I'll hang out with him. I'll take a picture with the man. I don't care.
You're up there sounding like Mike Freeman sitting at the table.
No, it's not even that.
We're going to get on that.
Yeah, it's not even that. The thing I respect about Alex Jones, right, is that at a point where, okay, so you have 2 points where you're trying to like work the public.
I'm just going to sit here and listen.
All right, so there's 2 points where you're trying to work the public into a frenzy.
He's trying to teach y'all how to prostitute right now.
Right. There's either one point where you go, I am a terrible human being.
Alex Jones.
And I need to stop.
Not Alex Jones.
That's Alex Jones. At a point he goes, I'm a terrible human being. I need to stop. Or how far can I provoke these people and make money while doing so?
Alex Jones.
Because the second that you conflate provocation and hate with revenue, then you're really talking about where we go.
This is America.
So even crazier when you think about it, like people on the alt left, like people like the other people who are left on Facebook and YouTube, who are people like my guy Vic Berger the Fourth. If you're not aware of Vic Berger the Fourth, you should be. He does stuff with Super Deluxe. He is a very
I have no idea who that man is.
You need to check him out.
Okay.
He's amazing. So Vic Berger takes conservative punditry and turns it on its head and makes lampoon videos out of conservative pundits. Okay. Jim Baker, Alex Jones, so on and so forth. Like really easy targets. Like non-moving, super easy targets. He also
Baker is crazy.
He also makes fun of Steve Harvey, which is it's worth it. So in any event, you have people like him who are just as damning to the left on some level because he does radical alt culture, non-mainstream, non-traditional.
And talks about wrestling.
Right, let's talk about wrestling. I'm talking about Vic. Like, Vic doesn't talk about wrestling. Vic just makes fun of these people.
Oh, yeah. Well.
And he pokes fun at people, and he could potentially enrage members of the alt-right with his portrayals.
Well.
He's allowed to exist.
But not Alex Jones.
Alex Jones, on the alt-right, blacklisted.
Yes.
Wholesale.
Yep.
I mean,
but we're posting articles about him being blacklisted. So
right. He's still winning. Right.
He's still winning.
Right. He's on this podcast, so he's still winning. So that's the point that people need to really think about: is how far is too far for the liberal left?
How many examples do you want?
No, I know, but I'm just trying to ask that question. Like, how far is too far? Because here's my reason for asking this question.
Like I can't even. It's just like
50 years ago, there was a very distinct line for the Democratic Party and the new left of that era.
Yes.
There was a certain level of like moral, resuscitude, moral, like strength, resolve, definition of what was defined as right and wrong and what was defined as good and evil. And where does that exist now?
It doesn't.
On the liberal side of the aisle.
It doesn't.
And that's problematic. It's very problematic.
And it's been gone for more than...
I'd say 25 years at this point.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say more than 20 years.
Yeah.
But it's gone. It's not just the divide. It's just, as you say, the lines are blurred. We're crossing. Oh, well, this is how I feel. But, yeah, I kind of feel sorry for you. But no, I'm going to stay on this side.
I feel like... And this is where we're headed with this, and this is why this Alex Jones thing troubles me. Not just because I'm a fan of his, and I find what he does to be like wildly entertaining. Because you can't take anything this man says on a level of face level of value as truth or.
I refuse to listen to Alex Jones like I refuse to listen to Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Oh my gosh!
They're
on the same wavelength. I get you.
They disturb the shit out of me.
It's completely understandable.
Yeah.
But in any event, so at what point do we go too far?
We've already gone too far.
And at what point does the left turn right? Because this was a moment today, and this is and if there is a fist fight that occurs in the middle of Constitution Avenue on Saturday afternoon,
I'm not leaving my house.
I'm just saying, if that happens, we're getting to the point where the left is going right.
But you know what? They're not coming to my side of town.
That's good. Stay over there. Honestly, you don't want me near any of that stuff.
Yeah, they're not coming to my side.
But think about that for a second.
The line at Horse and Dickies will not be long. I'm not worried about that. I'm going over to Chinese Continental Carryout to go get me some crabs.
I respect. Oh, you were telling me about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had crabs from Mike's in Annapolis.
Was it the same?
On Friday. I mean, they was good.
They was some good crabs.
Oh, $110. But I didn't pay for them. I didn't pay
Right.
for
Okay.
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no. So, what's your thought about the potential of the left going right?
I can see a divide.
And how does that make you feel? Because I feel like
All of this has my nerves shook.
right, like
On the political front, because you're seeing somebody. It's like, okay. I mean, it's like a drug addict.
yeah,
You see somebody going down, and then it's like, oh yeah, but we're gonna come back around here, and you may be able to turn around, but guess what? You still a drug addict.
right,
There is at any chance you could still go back down the other path. So if you come back, you come on the other side, and you make good of, and fine. But as we are going through the cycle of the social justice change, because I don't know what did Geronimo say? What year is this? 1926 or
right,
whatever it was.
yeah.
This is craziness.
No, it's completely absurd.
This puzzle, like this is the 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle that we talked about. This,
Right, yeah.
That you didn't know which piece. I mean, the piece is just one color.
Right.
You don't know which corner it needs to go into.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That's where we are.
Yeah.
But I will tell you what's even more nuts.
Yeah.
And although we are very much still in protest of,
Yes.
but the NFL Hall of Fame.
Thank you for going there because I want
I had to go
talk
there
about
'cause
that. No, because it was my next topic. Actually.
Well, I know we you know, when we get on here and we get to talking, this is what we do, because we got to touch on NFL.
No.
And we're not going to do the BISH SESH
No,
and
we're gonna
favorite things.
No, we're because I feel like we're weaving this all in. Because my favorite thing this week involves the NFL Hall of Fame.
Because I got to talk about a Coon Town Hall meeting that happened.
Yeah. We're gonna go into that next. That's the
but
best
the
section.
but the NFL.
So my favorite thing that happened this weekend involves the NFL Hall of Fame. I went to the NFL Hall of Fame in 1988.
I was cute in '88.
You still cute, whatever. Anyway. All right, so NFL Hall of Fame. I was a fan of pro football as a child.
We all
Like
were.
the biggest fan of pro football ever as a child.
The way that RFK Stadium
Would
used to shake.
Oh, the best. All right, so I went to the NFL Hall of Fame 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And it like changed my life. It was like one of those times you walk around, you see all the busts, you see all the legendary items, you see everything. You're like, oh, this is everything.
OJ.
Right? No. I have a picture next to the OJ bust because I was a fan of the Bills as a child.
I have a jersey.
I love it. Because I like the red, white, and blue. Mike is asking me why. I like the red, white, and blue. I like the logo.
I have an OJ jersey.
All right. So the people who are inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame this year.
Yes.
Were former Washington Redskins general manager, the general manager who orchestrated the Washington Redskins in the 1980s, Bobby Beathard.
Yes.
You had linebacker Robert Brazil. You had safety Brian Dawkins of the Philadelphia Eagles. A modern era superstar who doesn't get enough credit. I don't think.
He doesn't.
I'm glad he's in the Hall of Fame.
He doesn't.
Guard Jerry Kramer, the pulling guard of the 1967-1968 Super Bowl champion Green Bay Packers.
Well, I was getting ready to say the Chicago Bears.
No,
I was like, I knew it was up there somewhere.
Literally one of the most important offensive linemen in football history, which is kind of amazing. Ray Lewis.
Coon Lewis.
Yeah, in a purple suit
Coon.
with a purple and gold tie.
With a little Beijing.
Yes.
Had a little Beijing on.
Yes.
Fucking coon.
Right. You had wide receiver Randy Moss, who's literally, in my mind, one of the most dynamic athletes to ever play in any sport.
Randy Moss, you are not the Bama of the week.
Right. Linebacker Brian Urlacher of the Chicago Bears.
Yep. That's why I was like Chicago Bears.
And a person who did not show up physically to the Hall of Fame, but through his own party, like getting a VIP table at the club and locking everybody else out.
Terrell Owens.
Terrell Owens.
You are the man, Terrell Owens.
All right, so the NFL. We've talked about the NFL a lot in regards to Colin Kaepernick.
And I am still on protest. I am no longer a Redskins season ticket holder, and I can't afford tickets anymore.
Right. But in regards to the fact that the NFL has taken a deep right-hand turn in regards to social justice and race relations issues.
Screw you, Jerry Jones.
Right. I mean, but I feel like it's also motivated by finance.
Yeah.
In the sense that people feel like there's a lot of money that's available in standing on the side of
there's a piss
conservative values.
There's a piss load of money. I will say it just like that. just like with this lovely product that we're drinking and that company.
Right.
You don't just close down the shop one day for 4 hours and think that everything is going to change in the culture of, and you have enough money to fund full social justice, and we're talking about the NFL, you know, there's just, it's ridiculous what they could be doing.
If you look at the people they inducted this year, this is one of these years where everything that the NFL does in the year 2018, 2019 is going to be very deeply scrutinized.
Yeah.
So
Alex Jones will have a lot to say about it.
I'm certain he will. And
when they let him back on.
Because that'll happen.
Something.
But in any event, NFL Hall of Fame this year. A man who may have murdered someone. Ray Lewis is in the Hall of Fame. Someone who could have feasibly been a convicted murderer. I mean, he's also one of the most exciting linebackers to ever play the game. But he's also potentially a convicted murderer in the NFL Hall of Fame. Randy Moss, at the same time, wears a tie.
Beautiful.
After during his induction.
It's beautiful.
It has a list.
It's beautiful.
Of slain African Americans.
It was beautiful.
You know, who have been, you know, in the line of police fire.
It was beautiful.
And that was a moment.
It was a moment because it was, I'm Randy Moss. I worked very hard in my career to become the athlete and the man that I am today.
If you haven't seen his
speech, you need to watch
his speech. Also, there's a ESPN special.
Yeah.
There's a 30 for 30.
30 for 30.
About his career. It's amazing.
I'm accepting this award. I am here accepting this award. But I am going to be Randy Moss and show you exactly how I feel as I'm getting up here accepting the award for the work that I have done, and that I'm able to wear this tie, and that I'm able to show you and to make you understand that, yes, this is important to me, but so is this.
Right.
And it was a bravo moment
and
for
then
me.
Even on top of that, Terrell Owens just not showing up.
It was a bravo moment.
And what's intriguing now is that the National Football League and NFL Hall of Fame is now attempting to pass legislation that says that if you are inducted into the Hall of Fame, that you must show up for your induction.
Who was the first person? What was it? Who was the first person that did, like, it was the whole Grammy situation? Was it Prince?
LL? Yeah, it was Fresh Prince didn't show up when they had the first rap Grammy.
I'm like, it was it Prince? But Prince was pissed too about
representation,
something.
right?
Yeah, and then of course
didn't show up,
and then Jay-Z.
Yeah.
So let's.
So I mean that's the thing, but it's intriguing that we're at this place now with the NFL and their Hall of Fame and everything the NFL does, where and we talked about it last week, I think, where we talked about how the NBA is so different.
It's very different
in the sense where they're like, okay, well, we're gonna willfully admit their flaws in our nation, and we're gonna actively allow our players to be social justice standard bearers.
And they go and print all the T-shirts,
right? And
they wear them for home games. They travel in them. They wear them at others. Here, y'all want some shirts too?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a thing, and it's fascinating to see sport, which is such an intrinsic part of American society. Even sport is split.
Sport is definitely split.
Where you have one entire sport that literally is worth trillions of dollars.
Like Apple.
Like Apple.
And your raggedy chargers.
Right.
And batteries.
Yeah, there's one that's over here on the far right.
Yep.
The NBA is on the far radical left.
Yeah.
And I'm just intrigued now to see, and I'm happy to see at the NBA as compared to liberal left, the liberal left.
But I feel like the NBA has kind of always been like that,
right? But they have it since the 70s, right?
Right, because I really, if you don't know history of, don't just look at the players, look at the owners. And Abe Pollin is a great example of one of those owners that look at what he did. Not saying, the white man saved us.
No.
But look at what they did. Look at some of the original owners.
If you look at the Bullet Squad that won the championship,
the year that we all were. Well,
Right, 78. Right.
You and I were born.
Right.
Not Ian.
You had,
old
you
fart.
had 4 out of those 5 starters are black.
Yeah.
And they're not like black, but they're not like black, like benignly black.
They're black.
They were very much like actually like engaged in
the community.
The community black, like Bobby Dandridge and Wes Unseld especially.
Yes.
You know, like these were people who were actively engaged in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And it's intriguing to see that the NBA is starting to like create like a barrier for how they're presenting themselves.
Yeah.
Like liberal, inclusive, open. And the far radical edge is the WNBA.
They don't want to end up like the NBA. I mean, the NFL right now. They
Right.
don't want those issues.
It's fascinating to see that. I'm really impressed by it. Like when I think about how to create like what a policy could look like if you know the Democratic Party, liberal left, wanted to take a look at how to orchestrate themselves.
Well, maybe we should send some of them over to the DNC because y'all doing a
So
bad job right now.
So you have like, you know, 2 different sides. Like there's the NBA, which is a global arm of sport and policy, which policy is now a part of it.
Right.
And then you have the WNBA, which is
who even plays for them anymore? I'm sorry.
a part and a thing, and
Do you
it
go
exists.
to the games?
Oh yeah, I go to like at least 2 or 3 a year. Elena Delle is one of my favorite players in any sport.
I don't know who the hell they are.
She's like, she's a superstar center. She's white lady from Delaware.
Oh, hey girl.
Yeah. She's amazing. Her wedding was one of the 5 or 6 most beautiful weddings.
Did she marry
last year.
Never mind.
No.
Okay.
So in any event,
Sorry.
there's a whole other arm to this organization, the NBA, the WNBA, that feels like it handles the more radical edge. Like, you know, there's the LGBTQ policy, which is like
heavy,
wholly embraced by the league now.
Yeah, but they don't make any money.
But they don't have to because the arm that runs them is the National Basketball Association, which is a multinational conglomerate.
Sheila makes the money.
Right, exactly. So over here, the NFL, Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Terrell Owens is like, I'm not showing up.
Yeah. No.
Randy Moss is like, I'm gonna wear this tie. Ray Lewis is like, I'm gonna wear a lace front. And I'm gonna give a speech where I'm gonna invoke the good name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
His kids were pissed. His kids were just like,
I mean, it's where we're at, and it's a fascinating
that we're here.
And it's a fascinating point, I think, in where we're at insofar as like discussing race, discussing politics, discussing society, when football attempts to do social justice and like succeeds, and then they fail in like the most epically miserable way possible.
You just said social justice and failure, and that just takes us to
Yeah, let's close out with a discussion that I'm sure is near and dear to your heart, because I want you to break this down for people, because a lot of people may not be as versed in religion as an industry.
Wow.
Which it is in this case.
It's an industry.
And if you could break down the particulars of this, because it's just so fascinating. I'll give you the floor.
I want to read something. You know, we joke on here a lot and everything, and you know, a lot of people, we've said where I go to church. I go to church right here in the Shaw neighborhood. I go to Shiloh. This September, 156 years old. Yesterday was crazy at church, but yesterday evening we hosted the Parkland shooting survivors. At church yesterday. They went to Dunbar for a project, and then they came to Shiloh. So just amazing. But what we're going to talk about as we're wrapping up this evening, and I said I was going to call it Coon Fest, but I'm not going to go there. We're going to talk about the pastors that met with Donald Trump last week. And any and everybody has seen, you know, what was on the news, every article that has been written. It was just, we weren't prepared for what we were going to see. Now, we've seen the evangelist and we've seen the pictures, even when, you know, when Omarosa was still working there, and of course Daryl Scott, who is one of the main ones, and
right.
We'll figure out if his brother really is the porn star. But we've seen all of this, and we've seen their arms stretched out, you know, to the president. But I want to read this, and it says, And it was my turn to go, but inaudible. That means they couldn't figure out what was said. Laughter. Mr. President, I am certainly honored to be here with you. I am Pastor Mike Freeman from Spirit of Faith Christian Center, 10 minutes from this house. You are invited any Sunday you would like to come. The President, thank you. Pastor Freeman, I'll leave a parking space open for you there so you won't have any opportunity to be delayed. This is a very critical time we're in. One of the things I most remember and recall about a statement you made when you were running, you said if you were able to win the White House, the Christians would have a friend in the White House.
Yeah.
Mike Freeman. So here's the crazy thing.
Yes.
When you first saw the article and you saw the picture, and as they're panning, you didn't even see his face first.
No, I mean, he ducked out.
You saw Gray, but he was sitting on the other side of of King.
Right.
And this is the niece to Dr. Martin Luther King.
Right.
So you didn't realize it was Mike Gray because his head was kind of not Mike Gray, Mike Freeman. His head was down and everything, and I'm like, wait a minute. I know that is not who I think it is.
Exactly.
And it sure is. I wasn't even worried about John Gray. Everything is about a paycheck to him. He comes from Lakewood.
Right.
We get it. Osteen, you left there. You started your own church. You're on, Oprah's network and everything. How much longer is that going to last? And you're sitting there, and then you get on Don Lemon, and you put out a message. Oh, we were going there to talk about reform and prison reform and all this. This is Donald Trump.
I mean,
this is the man that Vladimir Putin handpicked and said, you are going to be the president of the United States, and this is how I'm going to help you do it. And you really think that we're going to sit there and listen? If you go to the whitehouse.com, I know you don't want to click links on it, but you have to go through, because the most discriminatory, bigotry thing that Donald Trump does in this meeting, and I don't even know if that made sense what I just said, he never called these individuals pastor, reverend, bishop, anything. He called them by their first damn name. Absolutely not.
I mean, I'll put it like this.
Absolutely not. And I mean, the transcript from that meeting, it's disgusting to me.
I mean, okay.
Because what you have here, that's not your favorite pastor's favorite pastor at that table.
No.
And you got that's buffoonery.
Yeah, well, it is, but I also feel like
the way that and I know people that go to Spirit of Faith.
Right.
I judge y'all. I do.
Okay.
I've been to Spirit of Faith before,
right.
And I ran the hell up out of there.
So here's my thought on this. Ever since Omarosa left the White House, there's been a need for African American representation within the Trump administration.
Well, y'all got it now.
And the easiest way to attempt to do that is to make a direct pander towards Christianity. And the easiest Christians to pander towards, especially to keep you in line with your base and the black people that they know,
yes,
is to find the Baptist church and to go directly after Baptist pastors and reverends.
And some of them they're not considered Baptists.
Right, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
of course.
Within that strong Southern style Baptist tradition, even if you're not a Baptist, you give off the appearance physically.
Yeah.
You know, the Harold Panner man of fashion suits.
Oh, child.
You know, the slick concholine hair. You know, maybe you're bald, but you look stately and astute.
I know where Mike Freeman shops.
I mean, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Gators.
Gator boots with the pimp down. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Right.
So are you talking about like the people on POTUSShield.org?
Absolutely. Because he has a POTUSShield.org.
If you want a good laugh, go to POTUSShield.org. This is literally the POTUS Shield council members, and they are husband and wives. Oh, yeah, Harry Jackson, D.C. He's the organizer of a church. He ain't even a real...
Right, because they can't find...
Oh, yeah, he's the organizer of the conference, but senior pastor at Hope Christian Church. Like, this is just a freaking joke to me. You would never see my pastor. You wouldn't even see Bishop McCullough
Right, but there's
at the White House.
but there's six-figure checks involved, and there is a potential for and as you know, if you're a member of a black church,
yes, I am
in America right now.
I am.
Times is hard.
Yes, they are, and we're in D.C.
Right, so
on the corner.
So you need,
and we ain't going nowhere.
So you need the money. You also need the leverage with the real estate industry to be able to maintain your address.
Well, that's what Freeman must need.
I'm sure.
I guess the connection with Creflo is not
right.
doing so
but
well.
I'm sure it's also one of these gambits where
he needs a new jet.
No, when they're coming through to knock down the walls of all the other buildings.
Yeah, scripture.
They will look at your wall.
Scripture got knocked down. They're always looking at Shiloh.
Right. They will look at your wall. And then you'll hand them the trump card, and they will go, "Oh, okay, sorry."
Ain't gonna happen in Shiloh.
Right, but that's because Shiloh is a different church.
They've been trying.
No, of course.
They've been trying. That man rolled up in there for a reason on Sunday. Oh.
Right. So
I really wish he hadn't, because my hair would look so much better.
So
tonight.
in regards to this issues, before we close out, I wanted to get your final opinions on this and where this is headed. Like, do you think that there's any validity to the claim that they're looking for some kind of black adjacent piece of the Trump administration?
They are. Every person at that table, we already know why they were at the table.
Right.
We already know. It's for a check. It's for advancement. It's for so many different things. And I looked at Freeman's live feed on Sunday.
Right.
Let my pastor have been sitting at that table, there would have been nobody at church.
Right.
On Sunday.
Yeah.
There would have been full protest outside. No, absolutely not. This is not what we do. And they were just singing the praises of the Lord on Sunday morning, like that man had not just been sitting there. So, of course, there's
Sunday morning joy.
Yeah, Sunday morning joy. Of course, there was something else.
Right.
That there is an agenda.
Right.
And be it land, be it, where some of the places. I'm serious. When you go to the White House, look at the notes from there. Go to POTUS Shield. Go look at this stuff, and you see who's involved. Real estate is probably the number one piece to what happened.
Of course.
Can I build a prison around the corner from on the land?
Right.
These shows, like we talk about on Queen Sugar.
Yeah.
That's the topic line right now. This stuff is real in certain areas because they were talking about the steel mills.
Right.
I'm bringing up so many millions of dollars in Florida. We're going to have 2 locations, and
it's crazy.
It's hilarious. But before we end, I wanted to the city paper, and we're going to wrap it up because Mike is, production is just going to put us out and everything. But I wanted to make sure that
by all means.
that a misconnection is, we hate misconnections. So this evening, I'm going to read the misconnections.
Oh, this is exciting.
In my sexy voice.
Uh-oh.
It's a little deep.
Uh-oh.
I'm an alto. We made eye contact for a split second. You sat on the same bench to my left, very close to me. You were reading too, until you got on your phones. Then you left. I wish I'd said something to you. Did you notice me?
Fabulous. I love it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, let's close with that every week. And
absolutely.
Yeah, as far as this has been your latest edition of DCTBD, the podcast.
Yeah.
For Ian Taranji, who will be joining us back next week,
yes.
I am at Marcus with a CK Dowling, DOWLING, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And Michelle?
The only place that you're allowed to follow me is on Twitter, and that is Shelby of DC, CHELLEB of DC.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. Have a great day and a better tomorrow.
Peace.